completely agree with you. And you're right in terms of someone not coming out or big player like Twitter or this. But I think it is just a feel like it is a sort of a starting from last 2 year. Even bubble have a journey of last 10 year, but sort of a from last 2 year people started to figure out. And the number of I just see via the number of bubble opportunity that comes out, freelancing or full time now. Exactly, industry is sort of a accepting, okay, there is a full time bubble developer is there, and you can hire. And I think in coming 2 or 3 years there will be one. I don't know, but hopefully.
There's some other signals as well. So if you look at Bubble's performance, the increase in the performance in the last 12 months, 2 years, that's hugely improved, right? And the fact that people have, when there's outages now, within about 5 minutes, there's 20 people in the forum going, "Oh my God, another outage. What's going on? Sort it out." That's a good thing. That's a good thing because it means there's 20 people who really care that Bubble should be more stable. And yeah, it will become more stable, but it only comes from the success of the users, of the people using Bubble. If Bubble went down for 5 minutes and no one made any comment, that would be terrible. Yeah, that would be the worst case scenario. Best case scenario is that someone out there says Bubble's been down for 5 minutes. That cost my business $50,000. Sort it out, Bubble. And that's the sort of success breeding success for Bubble. And I think in the last year, the noise that you get from an outage is just much more noise. There's many more complaints about it, and that's, I think, a signal of a really good thing for Bubble.
Yeah. That's a pretty good sign. And also, Bubble team is pretty quick to respond. I just feel like I think last took us some time. After that, they can. I think last outage they fix it in just a 5 or 2 minutes. And even that 5 or 2 minutes, a lot of people are like, someone tag me into Twitter, someone DM me, okay, is it happening with you also? And a lot of people post on the Bubble forum, also people post on the Twitter, because I know you are not on Twitter. You are not pretty that much of active on the Twitter, but a lot of people like say about it. But I think for the Bubble and the I think Bubble team right now is very initial phase, or like a very small team. I think there's a 20 to 30 developer, 20 to 30 team is there. I don't know exact number, but I'm just guessing from their whole presence in social media.
If you look on LinkedIn, you can see how many employees they've got, and it's not 10,000; it's a few hundred, isn't it? So, I think there's another thing about Bubble, which is every time there's an outage, the first thing they do is email everyone saying, "Main cluster database has gone down." I mean, how many software platforms, the first thing they do when there's a problem, they mail all their customers and saying it's down. And I think that creates, it's kind of charming in a way because it shows transparency and openness about it. And when it goes down, Joshua or Emmanuel will get on in the forum and they'll say, "Hey, sorry guys, what happened was this, and this. We're really working hard to fix it." That's cool. It's cool and highly unusual because most enterprise companies, if it goes down, they'll try and hide the fact or blame someone else.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
Give you some blunt. It seems that some of the root causes to these outages have been AWS. And one most recently was a spam detection in an upstream network thingy-mabob, right? So it was outside of control of Bubble, but the way that they dealt with it was open and transparent. It's not saying, rather than try and pretend we're 100% stable and everything that screws up is someone else's fault. I like the way they deal with it openly and transparently, because it makes me believe they're actually going to fix the problem.
Yeah. And also from the transparency point of view of the Bubble, every month they release a sort of a notes on the Bubble forum. what exactly they are fixing, what exactly they have launched, what exactly their focus is, so that it helps people like us to know where the bubble is going on. Because on a normal basis, no company sort of release their so you don't really know where exactly they are thinking it is, and it is aligning with you or not. So for example, I just feel pretty good about it ki when they write a multiple times in a that release note, monthly release note, they are focusing on the performance. They are working on the version. I just feel like they exactly focusing on the right issues rather than building a new feature, new feature, and new feature. And
Yeah.
so that's I just feel like
one thing they're not saying is we have doubled the size of our sales team or some crap like that.
yeah.
They're saying no, we're really concerned about performance or versioning or blah or whatever, and that makes me trust them, right?
Yeah,
There's a
definitely.
lot of people who go in, there's people who are staking their careers on this and staking their passionate project about this. So if you've really got to trust Bubble, because it's not because a lot of people are only paying $29 a month. It's a very cheap, very extremely cheap service. We pay about the same for Netflix as we do for Bubble, and for that, the people have got a really high expectation, and so they have to have a huge amount of trust in Bubble.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why I have that trust because as you say, like the monthly newsletter, and that really helps. Okay, cool, yeah. And then when there's an issue, the founders get on and get into the forum and say, hey, well, we're just looking into this now. Well, and some guy is only paying $20 a month, $29 a month, says, I want to know what the answer is, Josh. And Josh replies, okay, yeah, someone is looking into this for right now. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I pretty much cool. And I know that you also feel that way when you build a product. Easy to criticize anyone, but you actually in that shoes when you're building out and telling the truth with your audience. It is pretty. Not everyone can easily able to do that, and not easily people accept their mistake and like that way. I just feel like they are pretty, and I have a blind sort of a faith, or you can say, or I'm biased about the bubble, but I just feel like they are doing a pretty good job. And in coming 1 or 2 years, they will become a more dominant player in that industry. And one good thing I just feel like about the bubble is they, from the very initial, they have a paid plan.
Right. Yeah.
So they are more focusing on the customer revenue rather than focusing on the investor revenue, like got a funding. Because
very good point. Very good point. It was great news that they raised the money, right?
Yeah,
it's great news because you do need that for growth, but it's kind of better news that they have a business model that works, and it's the fact that they can onboard a new customer at $29 a month speaks volumes about their architecture and design. They've got something that's really right. If you can do that, do it so cheaply, and $29 a month doesn't buy you very much AWS services.
exactly.
So, and under the covers, it's AWS. So they're not selling that $29 of AWS services at a loss. So they're doing something very clever and very right about how they with that design.
Yeah,
in my view. So
that I think good part about them. And I just love any startup who take a money from customer rather take money from the investor. And I just feel like because their incentive is aligned to the customer, not on the investor.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree, and
because
that's why. And that comes through a lot. That comes through in everything Bubble does, and that's why we trust them, I think.
And because right now, in a whole world, There's a lot of liquidities available. Even today, Bubble goes for the another round of funding. They can easily close for the billions. They can easily, because they have a right product fit. They have a 1.4 million of user, and they have a good paying user. They have a good sort of a PR stories to cover them. So they can easily and they can show the Bubble Forum community who is pretty much behind them. So they can easily take billion, but I just feel like they have their heart right place and focusing on the product and customer rather than focusing on the investor side.
Yeah, really good point.
Okay. One more thing. So recently,
okay,
Chris on the Twitter basically commented out, I think tweet about the for the all the freelancers, all the people who is working on a no-code community will have a sort of a all the freelancers will have a sort of a equity going for the equity model. There in the future, most of the freelancer will up for the equity model rather than typically freelancing route. Okay, client pay you, you do task and that's it. So it will be something. Okay, you take some equity in a company and then you work for it and on a fixed scope, fixed MVP sort of a thing, and then they go into the market. What's your thought into? Are you like open for that sort of a thing, or like what's your view over it?
Good question. So there's probably three parts to the answer. So one is the reality is, Anka, that you've got rent to pay, and children to feed, and bills to pay. So we all do. So we can't work for free. I guess that's
the reality.
The second part is, yeah, that's the reality. And the second part is, I've many times had equity interests in the companies I'm working for, and I don't see it as remuneration. I see it as encouragement, or it's like a lottery ticket. It's not so much a salary, it's a lottery ticket. And if it goes well, brilliant. But I guess the point is that if you've got a viable product, which with a viable pricing model, then you should look to get revenue coming into your company as quickly as possible and try and match your costs and revenue to be actually something that sorts itself out. If you have to, and there's a big difference between someone you're saying, "I'll join my company, I'll give you some equity," versus someone you've known for 10 years, really trust, good friend, totally understand their career, you believe in them. Then that's, yeah, definitely. I'll definitely get involved with those sorts of people. If the biggest selling point they've got is, "Hey man, you can have N% of my company if you just work like a dog for 3 months." Well, I feel like it's probably not going to work out. And I think there's a sort of fantasy that it does happen, but not too much, very rarely. Where you just work overnight, work 24 hours a day for 2 weeks, and suddenly you'll have 10,000 users in week 3. Great, it does happen, but for every one of those, there's 10,000 that have to go for 2 weeks, figure out need to change their idea slightly, go for another. Oh, wait a minute, here's our market. Actually, the pricing doesn't work. Actually, the market we're going through for doesn't work, and you have to change to evolve really quickly to get something that actually works. So the thing that you buy into in January will have probably changed completely by March. So that equity thing, yeah, it's also, it depends on your stage in life, right? If you haven't got kids, you're probably willing to take more risks, right? A bit younger and wanting to take risks. If you're a bit older and your kids have left home, you can take more risks. But if you're some people it's just they just need an income.
I also have a same sort of a point of view over it, and I right now I'm just straightforward no for the equity. So whenever someone reaches out to me and for freelancing project, obviously, and they say, okay, I will not able to pay you that much, but I can offer you the equity of the company, and that I just feel like no, because I know there's a sort of a red flag is there, and I don't know, in a very little time span of the last 2 to 3 years, when I started my building my own company, and earlier also I'm into the all these startups and all this. So I just feel like, but it is pretty easy to say when you have nothing on the stage. Like when you start,
Exactly.
when it is pretty easy, okay, I will give you 2, 3%, 5% of the company, and because you are just focusing on your MVP because you feel like this is the first product, and if it is done, then I'm in the millionaire. This people are there who will buy and give me money, or the investor will give me the money. But it is really happen until unless you have a very good connection in the industry, or like right VCs, right, if you are going for funding and all, and then if you are sort of that person, then your worth. So you are not going to be dilute your equity, because equity is such a precious to the founder, I just feel like. So you are not going to be directly, either you take a, if you don't have money, you will take a loan, because uh, you will get a in a year you will get all the money back, and then you are not good with the equity. Yeah, but if, because over a very first meeting with someone in a half an hour call or something, it is not it is not going to give you any.
It's kind of exactly. For the first half-hour meeting, they say, "Oh, right, I'll give you 10% of the company, and today it's worth nothing, but one day in the future it'll be worth many, many millions." What's the deal that's being offered is really, you as a product developer, you have an opportunity cost. You're going to, if you spend 3 months working, let's say that's $30,000 of freelance revenue, something like what, it doesn't matter what the number is. You're effectively the first investor and putting the money, you're putting your time, which is an opportunity cost, into the company up front. If after 3 months it doesn't work out, you're the only investor, and you're the one who's you've taken the most risk.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So the guy who said, join my company, he's not taking any risk. He's going, well, if the founder does a really good job, I'll have something that's really valuable. I'll own 90% of something that's valuable. But right now, Anchor takes all the risk, and if he makes something valuable, then he can have 10% of it. So it's a pretty poor deal. However, if it's someone you really trust and you've known a long time and you believe in them, absolutely not a problem.
Yeah, so because I know some of the friend of mine who in the startup, I'm happy to invest my money also. Like for example, I have some bucks that I don't need it, I can easily give them, and doesn't matter they offer me equity or not, because I trust them, and I know they will not going to spend. Okay, I got a money, I go into the club or something like that. They are going to spend that money into their team, and because there is a trust in between. And I just feel like there's a lot of lot of people have become mindset. Okay, build any SaaS product for a month, like 3 to 4 months, and sell it on different platform. There's a couple of platform, I will not name it at that stage, uh, but there's a lot of platform, and they feel like this is a quick money making scheme sort of a. They will give a 3 to 4 month, and they will get a some free user or something like that, and they can easily sell on these platform, and they will get a money, and they just feel like, okay, this is quick. And I don't know, I just personally I don't believe in sort of a business where your whole focus is selling the businesses. So I will rather invest or give my time to someone who actually solving some problem and wants to take it forward.
Yeah.
So so that's
I think those sort of, I think that kind of get rich quick scheme thinking is a bit naive in my view. And if all you're trying to do is trying to trick some investors 6 months down the line, if you just think you're going to be really clever and trick someone into buying this, then good for you. It's just not interesting.
Yeah. And also
investors are very smart. Investors are very smart. They're going to see through your silly little game to try and rip them off.
Yeah. And even software industry is feel like very small. Everyone knows everyone. So even if it is a worldwide industry, a lot of people are involving it, but